Good morning, everyone. I see still people joining. We already have 82 attendees. Welcome, everyone, for our webinar. As usual, we give 1 more minute for people to pop in, and then we will start with the webinar. We expect around 200 attendees. Well, I see that the number of attendees or registrants is nicely picking up. Thank you very much for joining, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your interest in our webinar that we organized on the new VDI Guideline 2700 on lashing on vehicle transporters. As you can see, you could only join without the possibility to speak or to put yourself on camera. This is just to keep not the silence, but the necessary environment for our presenters, but you will be able to put your questions in the Q&A bit, and at the end of the webinar, as we said, there will be a Q&A session where you can raise your hand and allowed to unmute yourself and turn on your camera to ask your questions. We in fact invite everyone to pose your questions in either at the end in person or put in the Q&A bit. This is a webinar that we put together for the whole industry, Finnish vehicle logistics industry. We will have presenters from all necessary actors for you to present the situation and give you as much information as possible. The webinar is open to everyone. It's a public webinar to our members, non-members. We have OEMs as well interested who are joining. So we again can only thank you for the great interest in this topic. So as you can see, the webinar is recorded, just for your information. As I said, we brought together all the necessary people to give the full information on the upcoming or already the changes that are in fact with us since the 1st of September. We will have the first welcoming words from Frank Schnelle, Executive Director Designate of ECG. Then Simon Jäckel from the VDI will introduce the VDI and this guideline. Then we are very glad to have TÜV SÜD with us, Silvia, Freitas and Niehenker to present on the changes and on the requirements, roadside checks and geographical scope, which we understand are the major challenges and major questions that you might be asking. And then we are very glad to have all Kässbohrer, Lohr, RIMO and Rolfo representatives with us as speakers, who will also explain to you the changes to the car transporters. And then, of course, the Q&A session. So all questions put in the Q&A bit. We hope you see that you will find it easily and you can join with no technical difficulties. And as I said, in person at the end of the webinar. And then with no further ado, I would like to hand it over to Frank Schnelle for the welcoming words.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Also a very warm welcome from my side. The number of participants that we just said, over 200, shows basically how important this topic is and that we need to discuss this more in detail. In fact, there have been many talks, controversial talks, and I think we can all have a different opinion on the new regulation, to be honest, whether it is a significant improvement or not. But today it's not about to discuss the VDI regulation itself. It is to put this new regulation into practice. And here, basically, we see that we still are behind the due date, which is set to September 1st this year, whereas our members and potentially many more are not yet ready to put everything in place. So the time obviously was too short, and we try now to help out with this webinar and to have a better understanding where we are today and what is basically also needed. So I'm very happy to welcome Mr. Simon Jäckel from VDI, as well as TÜV SÜD representing the new standards more in detail, short and sharp. And I'm even more glad that all the trailer manufacturers to our industry are ready to take your Q&A and also maybe share their insights today. So hopefully we have a very, very good and successful webinar. Please do raise your questions. It's the best time to get all your questions answered, as I think there's no one else we could invite for this webinar on top of this high number of level speakers. So thank you, Silvia. And I would like to ask Simon to take over and to introduce the VDI.
Thank you so much, Frank. While I'm sharing my slides, just a quick introduction of myself. So my name is Simon Jäckel. You can call me Simon if you like. It's way easier. I work for VDI since more than 12 years now. And for the people that don't know what VDI means, it's the Association of German Engineers, and we are the second biggest standardization institute in Germany with around 2,200 valid standards on all topics of technology, and also on load securing. You all know the VDI guidelines 2,700 and those 20 parts we have of those. So Frank contacted me and asked me if I could give a very short introduction, and I am giving you a very short introduction because all the technical stuff is way more important than the things I would have to say. So the focus is really on the presentations that the colleagues will show you later. So I am going to show you what are the new standards for the vehicle transporters. So on 1st September this year, we published 3 new standards on vehicle transporters. The first one is Part 8 about the test requirements. The second one is Part 8.1, which deals with passenger cars and cargo minivans up to 4.5 tons. And we published Part 8.2, which is about heavy commercial vehicles up to 20 tons. Every VDI standard is being published in 2 languages to answer one of the most asked questions I get via email from non-German speaking experts out there. So every guideline, every standard is in 2 languages. The left one is German and the right one is English. So to tell you where to buy them, this makes this answer now easy. There is no English version. You just buy the standard that's on DIN Media, and you can use those QR codes. Of course, you get the presentation after the webinar, I suppose. So every VDI standard is being exclusively published via DIN Media, so the German Standardization Institute. And Frank asked me to give an answer to the question why there was no transition period. And this will be my last slide. And the problem is that the standardization institutes, you may know, like ISO, which is international standardization, CEN, which is European standardization, and for example, national standardization in Germany by DIN and VDI, their task is to document and to publish the state of the art through voluntary collaborative work based on the principle of consensus and involving all interested parties. And this is what we did. And we did not just have only German experts, but for example, the Italian friends here giving a presentation later on, they have been participating in the work as well, just to tell you an example. So the aim of standardization is to publish generally recognized technical standards defining the state of the art. And the state of the art doesn't have transition periods. That's the big problem now. Technical standards are voluntary in their application and do not by themselves include any transition period. So all of our 2,200 standards don't have transition periods because we just described the state of the art. However, and this is the case in your technical topic now, if technical standards are made mandatory through laws or contracts, then they must be followed. And you know, the German legislation on load securing is telling you that load securing must be done according to recognized technical standards, but they don't tell you to make to make it like these new 3 parts that we published. They just say make it according to the recognized technical standards. And even the German legislation on load securing is not giving any transition periods. So in fact, there is none, not from our side and not from the legislation side. And then one very interesting question I asked about with our company advocate is the question of whether the new standards, those 3, are truly recognized as the state of the art from day 1 of their publication, or whether the old versions still are valid. Nobody knows. And this officially can only be decided by judges. So we are in a kind of a zone where nobody really knows what is to be recognized as the recognized technical standard. But obviously, the choice has already been done, or the decision has already been done. It has been done by the shippers, for example, because at least that's what I saw in Germany. The shippers, so the OEMs, for example, they wanted the standards to be followed from day 1. Also did some police departments in Germany. They decided the standards must be followed from day 1, and they checked on the German highways, for example. So the final decision could only be made by judges. So this is the last and not the best answer I can give you. I really understand that this is not helping at all. But the problem really in that case is let's say the system that nobody defined any transition periods, and we as a standardization institute just can't. So if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Here's my telephone number, our landing page for load securing, and of course my email address. But let's now switch over to the really interesting part, to the technical stuff, the technical content, and all the experts that made it to reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon. And then with no further ado, then I would invite colleagues from TÜV SÜD to come in with their presentation on the changes. You're muted, Silvia, I think.
So
now we hear you.
Perfect. Was da? You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, good morning. My name is Silvia Freitas from the Load Securing Division of TÜV SÜD in Germany, and I am pleased to give you some hopefully important information regarding the new VDI. So, Let's start by to whom this new guide applies. It applies to transports of passenger cars, cargo minivans, trucks, and even motor caravans, as well as to transports of private individuals. Although this is a German guideline, it applies to any transport within, from, to Germany or through Germany. And so as soon as you are driving loaded on German roads, this guideline must be applied. And if this is not respected, then we can see that, for example, for foreign shippers, vehicle owners, and the drivers, they will be penalized with fines. Just like, as you can see, German shippers, owners, and drivers may lead to a fine also amounting from 60 euros and getting a point on the driver's record. So the checks on the road, they have already been taking place since the new guidelines started on 1st September this year. And as there was no transitional period, they are already checking it. So it is entirely at the discretion of the police how strict the checks are right now on the roads. So we do not have, or we can't say how strictly they are already controlling it. But however, this guideline is now the basis for those checks. The checks are based on paragraph 22 of the German road traffic regulations, where it is stated, as you can see from the extract we put in here, that the load, including load securing devices and loading equipment, must be stowed and secured in such a way that they cannot slip, fall over, roll back and forth, fall down, or generate avoidable noise, even in the event of emergency braking or sudden evasive maneuvers. So the recognized rules of technology must be applied. And in this case, the guidelines VDI 2700 and the DNEN 1295-1 are the guidelines to be applied. So in the area of vehicle transport, only the VDI Part 8, Part 8.1 and 8.2 apply as the state of the art, as there are no other corresponding guidelines at European level. In 2017, a working group was set up with the aim of breaking down the various components, such as the transport vehicle, load securing aids, and the vehicle to be transported in such a way that a comprehensible load securing method could be defined. There were many, many meetings where, for example, different weight classes and also various transport methods has been determined, including loading positions and also directions or angles of inclination. During those investigations, it was realized that a very, very important point, the load capacity of the transport vehicle was not considered in the old VDI. A neutral test vehicle was specially built to carry out the necessary tests so that not only certain vehicle types were considered. And with this test neutral vehicle, which you can see, we performed a lot of dynamic driving tests with different test loads and different angles of inclination, simulating car and truck loading, which were started in 2020. Here you can see, for example, the testing machines for the dynamic driving tests. So, for example, at the bottom on the right side, you see there is an additional braking system which was mounted in order to achieve, for example, values like 0.8 G in the direction of travel, so that we were able to achieve clean values. In order to determine also exact values, 3 acceleration sensors were attached at different points to measure the G-forces and the values. In addition to that, also strain gauges were attached to the wheel chocks and also 3 load cells to a strap. So this was the measuring equipment used for the dynamic driving tests. This shows, for example, the measured values such as GPS data, recorded during the dynamic driving test, and also the curves driven in accordance with the standard DIN EN 12642 Annex B. So we have carried out driving tests and we secured the loading according to the old guideline. This means that, as indicated here in the old VDI, we had to secure a vehicle with 3 axles up to 11.5 tons by using 3 web lashings and 4 wheel chocks. That is what we did, and this was the result. So it was noticed that the sheets, the track elements, were often damaged during the securing process, as the forces applied were too high for the metal sheets. We then determined the minimum requirements, and they look like this. So slightly different. For the previous mentioned vehicle, the minimum to be applied is in this case 4 web lashings and 6 wheel chocks. Also to mention that the angle of inclination of the loaded vehicle is very important for the load securing. So this was just a brief insight into what the driving tests looked like with the neutral test vehicle and a vehicle on an inclined position. We also have a short with you, a video showing the dynamic driving tests with a position of 0 degrees, which I will show you. So these are now the minimum requirements for web lashings for loading cars and trucks. Certain values must be fulfilled, as you can see, such as the lashing capacity, depending on the loading, or also the standard tension force, as well as a minimum width of the webbing, and very important also to mention the eta value, the so-called transmission value of the web lashing and controller configuration, which must be indicated on the label. With regard also to the web lashings, it must be noted that the anti-slip device, or called controller, must at least cover half the circumference of the wheel. Furthermore, this value, the eta value, must be equal or greater than 0.5. And this value, as well as some more information, such as, for example, the name of the manufacturer and the brand name and so on, type designation, must all be mentioned on the label. There is now also a new value mentioned in this guideline, and it is called the dynamic friction resistance coefficient. It's a new definition, and the abbreviation for this is GRW. This is a newly defined value. So as the gearing also plays a role in this coefficient of friction, and it is not purely a matter of sliding friction. So it has been defined that at least 0.4 is the value required regarding the dynamic friction coefficient of the track element to a car or truck tire. The strain gauges on the neutral test vehicle enabled us also to determine the forces that a wheel chock has to withstand, and these are the resulting values, as for example, the height which must be greater than or equal 1/6 of the tire diameter or the corresponding blocking capacities according to cars or trucks. As it has been found that the track elements seem to be or are the weakest link in the chain, this is the current specification of what a track element and its attachment points must be able to do, corresponding to the different weight classes. So these are the values that decanewton they have to, or the fixing points have to have, and also the lashing points or the attachment points are only measured, as you can see, in 0 degrees tensile direction, 45 and 90, as it is not done in every direction, as when measuring according to DIN 12640. So they are measured in these directions, in direction and against the direction of travel, not to the side. The single finger hooks, 13 to 50 millimeters, were taken as the basis for these tests. So alternatively, of course, other hooks are also permitted if they have been tested. This shows, for example, the different test benches used for the static testings, such as for the friction coefficient, the wheel shock testing, the lashing points, and also the eta value testing. All tests required now in the new VDI. The vehicle transporter must be certified in accordance with this VDI sheet or part 8. In addition to the testings regarding the lashings, as we could see, wheel shocks in combination with the track elements, the friction coefficient of the track element, the VDI also demands now that the vehicle must be driven dynamically with a load of at least 85% of the payload. This is because the vehicle or the body must also be able to withstand the forces of the load. And this is to be proven by the dynamic driving test, even if all other tests were okay. This is a film to show a dynamic driving test with a payload of 85%. So there we had the 85% payload. This was just to show how it looks like. So another point in the new VDI is that every vehicle must be inspected at least once a year, which is a separate inspection, and it's not part of the general inspection. In Annex A of both Part 8.1 and 8.2, you can see that it is determined that all the components, as tension belts and controllers, the body structure, its track elements and attachment points, as well as the wheel shocks, are part of this annual inspection. The sticker on the right side just shows or serves just as an example of how it could look like if you want to show when the next inspection should be done. So we hope that we could give you already some answers. Also, otherwise, my colleague Daniel, expert for load securing, is present, and we will be at your disposal for further questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Silvia and Daniel, for the presentation and also putting together these informative slides. I don't see any questions yet in the Q&A, but so invite everyone, if you have anything, don't hold it back. Please share it there during the presentations as well. And now I would like to invite colleagues from Kässbohrer to continue with their presentation on the changes to the car transporter, and also or colleagues from other companies as well, Lohr, all for RIMO to chip in as well from their side. Thank you very much. Over to you, Markus, and we don't hear you yet.
Hello together.
Hello.
Thank you for the inviting to represent the point of view of not only from Kässbohrer, also for the all bodybuilders. One of the big question was, why was the old VDI not safe anymore? Most of you are also in the transport of general cargo. In general cargo, you know, on each trailer, you know directly the friction between the load, between the floor. Otherwise, you have to do some special things. You know, in the general cargo, if we have a pallet with 100 kilo or 4,000 kilo, there's a big difference how many lashings you have to use. And this was the most biggest missing link to the old VDI on the standard from 2009, because there was no numbers for the friction, there was no values for the wheel chocks, for the lashing straps and blocking forces, and also lashing points values for the track elements. And this was for safety a big issue for all bodybuilders to find out what is possible and what is the minimum standard. All what we have seen and here represent always the minimum standard for that things. So at 2007 with the VDI 1000 and the group in the VDI and TÜV SÜD and the bodybuilding manufacturers, we come together and say, okay, let's test it. Most of them we have seen by the TÜV SÜD what is done there. But I want to show some small things. These companies was all involved in all these tests and give also the money for this big project to find out what is possible and what is not possible. Also, one big thing is, you know, a homologation of a truck, length, width, and so on, weight is protected by law. It means if you buy a truck in 2008, you can still drive how long you want. This is a big difference in load securing. Load securing is not protected. If there are realized the old lashing system doesn't work anymore, you have to bring it to a new standard. And this is what we done in this whole group together to find out what is really important, that we can bring the transporters safe on road. This we have already seen. We start a little bit earlier with the first things. In total, from 2009 up to now, it was nearly 15 years to get it on a new standard. This we have seen already, the new minimum values for friction, 0.5, 0.4 it is written then, the lashing values, also the blocking values for the wheel chocks. The minimum height also is 120 millimeters, and so on. This we have also already seen for the controllers over the cars at minimum 180 degrees have to be covered and so on. The SDF as a minimum from 330, this is a big change. Also that the thing is blocked if that it's not open from himself. Yeah, I think this was some special things we already heard from the TÜV SÜD and from the VDI guys. From our side, it's important that all customer knows for the future how they can reach the certificate, and we install there on our homepage. You will get the presentation with also with the links, but just shown you can find in the moment since I think more than 8 months how to get the certification for the truck and what you have to do to get a certification for the truck. This is not only a Kässbohrer thing. I think this is also from all other bodybuilders, because a certificate is not only, let's say, a piece of paper. It's like a small graduation, a small master or a doctor title for your truck, because first you have to check something, is everything fulfilled? You have to give this answer back to your bodybuilder, and then we can provide you the certification for the truck. It's important, first you have to check the truck, then we have to check the documents that you sent to us, and then we can send you the certificate. And how it works and where to deliver it is really good written on our homepage, also in the link on the left side. Yes, this is a short slides from our side, and maybe Markus, you want to say something? Ich glaube, du bist schon.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you, Stefan. Just to underline the efforts from our side, from Kässbohrer side, but also from our colleagues and the involved bodybuilders, not to do any efforts to support and to solve all these topics and issue as good and as fast as possible. And as you have heard in recent in previous presentation, there was a huge challenge of this empirical stuff now with the news, let's say with the new basis on the technical values. This achievement is done, and of course it's still challenging, let's say, to do the applications now and in the right timing. But all in all, I think there's a real and important commitment by all parties involved, that this is a common shared efforts, a common shared challenge, and we will do everything possible, let's say, from all different parties to solve this and to go ahead as fast and as good as possible. And I think let's say for the understanding, it's additionally important not to refer only, let's say, to the historical development from past up to now, but also to understand and to see the advantages, let's say, in the way that the technical standard is now also addressed, and with the emphasis on the future development in the vehicle logistics now. So including, let's say, the rising weights of the passenger cars, including the new technologies on the truck chassis side. And once, let's say, this current period is overcome, I think all together we will gain the advantages from this now finally defined new standard and technical environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Markus, Stefan. Roberto, for instance, do you have from your end anything to add?
Hello, welcome to everybody. Side, I think that we already explained what was the topic here. As Markus and Stefan, they said, yes, today we are talking about the certificate of the vehicles, but actually it has been a long period of work for us, for the bodybuilders together. We saw all the people involved and all the producers involved in this project for many years, where we had to organize meetings and testing and so making some investment about that. And today we have the focus is how to be able to issue all the certificates as soon as possible. Of course, we have one point important, that the certificate can be issued after an administration time, that is including internal timing for the process, but also for our clients, the logistic providers, to check the vehicles, to have the time to have the vehicles according to the logistic and their internal organization. So I think that's we can, from our side, that's all. If there will be any questions, we will be glad to answer. Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you. Edgaras, from your side, something?
Yes, I hope you hear me. So as now I think the sector has heard and saw, so all the manufacturers were involved and participating in the process, and the moment all of our models are tested. But that's one thing. As you saw, it's according the paragraph 8 of VDI 2700. But then to get individual certificate is another process, where not only the manufacturer of car carrier has some obligations, but as well the transport company. So actually our clients, they started to ask us from the first week of the September. Some of them are asking today, last week, and so on. And for them to get the certificate is some way to go, because the truck, the car carrier, need to be inspected and checked. And for some models, some extra safety kit should be installed. And I think it is the same situation with all the bodybuilders with their models that were produced some years ago. So what does it mean? It means that the company which owns the truck, they should register to the service. The service should order the spare parts if they do not have at the moment. So it's some process for all that, but I expect that in upcoming, not weeks, but I think 2 months, we can try to issue the certificates to all the companies which are asking. At the moment, I have here some figures. We have from the trucks model which need to go to the services, we have produced around 1,500 trucks. 44% are registered already of those trucks are registered that they would like to get, they applied for the certificate. And only 8% of those who are applied, they already have the done everything what they need to do. So it means that they went to the service, they got the service kit, and so on. So soon those trucks will get the certificates. Our newer models, they don't need some service kits, so it's easier situation with them. But the situation is that the manufacturer do not have to issue certificates to everybody. We must issue certificates to those who apply and to those who have their trucks in order, because you see, it's everything about the safety, and I think this is very important to understand for everybody, and so on. And to the OEMs and the controlling institutions, I think it would be good to ask from our side to give some soft period about to let everybody to prepare, and those who will not be prepared, let's say in some months, then to have, let's say, more hard actions. But at the moment, just to give a transition, because the sector needs time for that. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Edgaras. And the colleagues from Lohr, I know you gathered in a room. Eric and Serge, Didier, you have anything to add from your end? We don't see you, but yeah, now we do.
Hello, everybody. The luxury of being the fourth to talk is actually that most of everything is said already, so we don't have much to add. I'd like to just, however, come back on a few different items. So it's been a long journey, about 10 years, basically. There's been a lot of resources, as Marcus said, and investments from the teams, and which was made into going towards that common work made with TÜV bodybuilders, lashing strap manufacturers as well. We haven't mentioned them, but they've been quite heavily involved. In a few metrics, there are a few thousand vehicles concerned. Basically, as TÜV said, anything that goes through or work within Germany basically is supposed to comply with this new norm. So that means thousands and thousands of vehicles. The 10-year journey basically ended with an application at the beginning of September. We have all, I'm talking about the bodybuilders, basically received several requests, I think, prior to the official came in place date, basically. But as far as we're concerned, basically, we estimate that we have only received requests for those certificates for roughly 35 to 40% of what we consider as being the total number of vehicles which are set to receive certificates. So that means that if that's provided, again, we receive those the missing 60% requests, we are organized to be able to respond prior to the end of the year to all of those requests. So that's one element. The second element is that the complete product range of vehicles which have been introduced on the market since, let's say, close to 15 years, 12 to 15 years, is compliant with the reception of a certificate, but additional accessories in order to comply with the new norm, mainly straps and wheel shocks in numbers, as far as our vehicles are concerned, are to be also supplied. And that's another issue. There's a bottleneck that I wanted to mention, is that establishing the certificates is one element, requires a lot of administrative work, especially given the high demand and the short period of time to respond to it. But it's the same thing with regards to the supply of the additional accessories, such as wheel straps and wheel shocks. We're doing all we can, and I think I can talk on behalf of our colleagues, bodybuilders, and the suppliers of lashing straps, to basically make sure that all of our customers can be supplied with the necessary equipment, but it takes a bit of time. So last but not least, and I go in the same direction as Edgaras, I think if there's only one wish that we could have, basically, despite all of the obligations which were explained and very thoroughly explained in the TÜV presentation, would be for the OEMs to show a little bit of understanding to the whole market, because basically switching over thousands and thousands of vehicles within a very short period of time is a challenge, and is a very, very tough challenge. So everybody is working in that direction, but understanding would help if it's feasible. So that's all I have to say at this stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all of you. And I have received some questions, or we have received some questions. Thank you for Tvetelin, who asked the question. First, I think it is for colleagues from TÜV, as a quite technical one, about the decanewton on the belt, which need to be used for cars for more than 2,000 tons, and to what degree they must be secured. That's the first question. You can also see in the Q&A bit, if you want to see Silvia and Daniel, that's our first question. And then I invite all participants to please, if you have any comments, any questions, put in the chat, or please raise your hand if you want to intervene in person. Then I will hand it over to Silvia and Daniel to reply to Tvetelin.
Could you please repeat the question, because I'm not seeing it right now?
Yes, he asked, I got one question about decanewton on belts, which we need to use for cars of more than 2,000 tons, and to what degree they must be secured. Hello, is there a technical issue?
No. He's just looking, because just a second. It's spricht von 2 Tonnen. So you are talking about a vehicle of 2,000 kilos.
Well, until that time you figure out, I have a second question so that we're not waiting, but it is for Kässbohrer.
Just a second.
Maybe you can. So it's a very it asks about the politics of issuing the certificates. They get 2 trailers from 2007 and 2008. That's a valid question. You might not be the only one. Is what to do in that case, because all the companies who might have trucks before a certain time that you yourself as companies you decided for which you tested the models that you tested and can deliver a certificate on. So what to do in case you have an older truck? I think that's a question to all manufacturers here on the panel.
Yeah, just let me answer that, Silvia. Of course, for gaining the best possible performance, you need to work around, let's say, some stages and steps, no? And starting with the newest, and let's say with a certain period of production dates, this helps a lot to bring volume in the qualified with qualified or requalified car carriers in the market. And this is one reason. The second reason is because all the, let's say, productions since years are technically by 99% in line with the new requirements. So just accessors and additional, let's say, tension lashes and additional evaluation needs to be done. So this is something we can do fast for bigger volumes. Talking about trucks, like in this question from 2007, 2008, clearly there are, and as already said at the beginning, there are additional tests needed, like dynamic tests, and this is not something you can do overnight. And honestly spoke on that, there will be also in practice, let's say, some limit which trucks and which, let's say, production years are really then in practice possible to requalify, at least in this first and early stages. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anything from the other manufacturers to add on this issue on certificates of older trucks, or you think that was?
The answer of
Roberto?
Marcus was fulfilled. For the trucks, there is a heavier check, a physical and technical check to be done, and some modification to the trucks. And this is barrier to the issuing.
Oh, we don't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, but
Okay.
so you were speaking, but we didn't hear anything. So you said that some modifications needed, and afterwards, I at least couldn't hear you for 1 or 2 sentences.
Okay, so and now you can hear me, I hope.
Yes.
The inspection of older trucks is creating a limit, not only because of the status, natural wearing of the truck, but also because these models will require, as RIMO also pointed out, some modification to the trucks, some reinforcement kits, some changes and on the truck that need to be performed in order to prepare the truck for the testing, and then there is the testing itself. So same concept also.
Thank you. I see that some of you could not raise. Oh, no, I see a raised hand from Castellet. Just a second. I will unmute you. I hope I can.
Sylvie?
Yes.
Sylvia, I'm sorry, I just have the answer for the other question regarding the vehicle of 2 tons. So before getting the next question, perhaps. So this makes part of the VDI part 8.1, which is for cars or for also mini cargo vans and so on, up to 4.5 tons. So this is including in this 8.1, and there you have a lashing capacity of 1,500 decanewton, and the STF is 330.
Okay. I hope that. Thank you very much for checking the technical details. That was a reply from Twetelin Ranov, who asked this question in the Q&A. Those of you who cannot check the Q&A, the chat works perfectly fine. We'll see that as well. I will pick up questions from there. And now I would like to then invite a colleague from Castellet. I don't see the name, so please introduce yourself. A yellow camera and microphone if you want to switch the camera on as well. Floor is yours.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, this is Thomas from Auto Transport Castellet from Slovenia. I have one question, or I have one statement. All of you major producers of the car transporters and trucks, you were well aware approximately 10 years that this will going to change. None of you didn't notice any of your customers that this will happen. So we were basically on our own from the 1st of September 2024 with this certificate, VDI 2700. That's one thing. The second thing, we have approximately 100, let's say 100 Kässbohrer and a little bit of Lohr and so on. And we applied for the certificate on 30th of July. And we only received 50% of these certificates for our trucks. But we are still working. We are still driving through Germany. We are still driving to everywhere without certificates. 50% of our trucks doesn't have a certificate. When can we expect the certificates to be released? And one question also, in a few slides back, there was mentioned that if you have any injuries on the trailer, in that holes that the hooks are going in for the lashes, and if there is damage to these holes, do we have to bring the truck or the trailer to the manufacturer to repair those holes, or can we repair it by our own in our workshop?
There are. Hello, Thomas. Stefan from Kässbohrer speaking. You know, the requirements where you repair driving plates, the equipment, is shown on our spare part catalog since 2050. How it works, how you can do it, and who can do it. I think maybe we talk after that, but this is in progress, which shows since nearly now 10 years. I think this is also from other bodybuilders, because these questions came up very early. How to repair it and fulfill it, I think it's a thing. Markus, you want to say something?
Yeah, Thomas, just to add, because similar question, of course, also coming from other companies. When you mentioned, Thomas, let's say rate of 50% on your fleet, this is right, yeah. And as you heard before, and also from our side, the total, let's say, stage now from vehicles re-qualified is about 1/3. So with 50 on your fleet, we're on a good development. This is one thing. The second thing, I would need to let's say correct a little bit in the way that information, of course, have been done even in the past several times. Yeah, and you know that, and your colleagues know that it was on the European level and on the IML level and on different opportunities. Let's say the progress on the VDI was communicated now, and even by the manufacturers. You can verify also on the website today, even in springtime this year, updated were released on the website, and email was sent out to everyone in the market. So the communication for sure there was there several times. But of course, if you take just the values, discuss first, for the ETA value, for example, even the technical testing was lasting some time. The definition and the confirmation of certain values have been, let's say, done recently, because of course this was also the reason that the guideline was then with the green print out and with the white print then confirmed. So it's not when you start with the testing that you know already from the beginning which values will be then and represent the result. This is just to add on that comments. Thank you.
Maybe Mr. Jäckel can tell us something to VDI work and the rules of the VDI 1000, because in this VDI rules is written, you do this free of charge. You do this is a hobby to work with the VDI, and there are rules, yeah. And the rule says the first thing what comes from this group to the outside is the green print. Yeah, the green print is the official first information, and this was in the September, October 1 year ago. And the green print says also, okay, these are the new requirements. Maybe the wording is changing, but this is the way where it goes forward. And with the green print, the VDI had between 3 and 12 months to bring in to a white print. Yeah, that means the green print is the time to everybody can recognize, okay, there will come a new regulation on the market, and from this date you can talk with customers, in our opinion, the bodybuilders with your own supplies and so on, to come forward to bring your car transporter on that new level. Yeah, and this was not very easy. You know, we worked 10 years together to bring it on a technical standard, but the technical standard where the bodybuilder know, okay, these are the rules, is with the beginning of the green print. That means we had maximum 8-9 months to do all tests that we can give you now a certificate. This was one of the biggest challenge for all bodybuilders. Yeah. I think the colleagues agree with that. This time window was very, very, very hard for everybody. And also for the TÜV SÜD, because they do all the tests. There was only one test station in whole of Europe to get done this together. Yeah.
Thank you. I see a raised hand from Lohr colleagues.
Yeah, Sylvie, thank you. There's one thing that I would like to add. With requests, it's important to understand the process, basically. When a certificate is requested for a certain VIN number, basically, it can only be issued by us once we've received the self-declaration of the inspection of that very VIN number from the customer. The reason I'm saying that is that and that's to bounce on Thomas' question, for instance, very often, well, let's say sometimes, not very often, we actually have requests for a series of VIN numbers, basically, to get the issuance of the certificates, which is fine because most of the time those vehicles comply with it. But without the inspection, which is a self-declaration from the customer making the request, basically, we can't issue it, right? So it's important that once you make the request, you also associate with that your I'm calling that self-declaration. I don't know if it's the exact word in English, but something that the document that shows that basically your vehicle complies also after the inspection with the required elements of the new norm. And that very often we're missing. So.
Thank you. So that's an important point for everyone at the webinar.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Thomas again from.
Hi, Thomas.
I have just one. First of all, thank you everyone for your answers. Second of all, one question. Why don't you issue a certificate automatically if we buy a new upgrade, if we buy a new lorry? Why isn't certificate automatically issued together with a trailer?
Easy answer on that, Thomas. Of course we explained to that, and this is also part already in the communications from earlier this year, from April exactly, that let's say the proposal is to release this certificate also for the new production, of course, because it's part of the, let's say, product documentation. But at least in accordance to many talks and discussion, not everyone is automatically, let's say, confirming this and going for that. So of course we need to know for which purpose and for which vehicle the certificate is asked or not. But for sure, when it's confirmed previously, then it will be released together with the other technical documents, let's say, once the new equipment is ready.
Yeah, same for us, basically. Not everybody actually works through or in Germany. So we're not automatically associating a certificate when it's not required.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for the precisions. I see one Christian Schroeder's hand up, but I see already a couple of questions in queue and the Q&A bit and the chat. So let me please reply to those. The first is also for public interest, so to say, ECG OQM plant update. Of course, as you know, the ECG operations quality manual is making reference to the VDI rules, and currently, as they have been revised, new rules are out there. We will indeed revise them. There will be a small subgroup within the quality group. Anyone interested, send me a message, not here in chat ideally, but you can do that as well, a mail, and then I will include you. That will start soon in the autumn. Definitely we'll revise that. That was from Maciej. You also asked for Rolfo certificates, but I see Roberto replied where the date of certificate is on the certificate. Okay, shape of hooks. It is not clear for you if it is necessary to use T or S hooks for weight category over 1,500 kilograms, or if classical bandit hook is approved as a basic hook, and optionally you can use T or S hook, but you don't have to. This is a technical question to our trailer manufacturers about T and S hooks for over 1,500 kilograms. Anyone want to reply on that?
Well, this I kindly ask to any company to contact their bodybuilder provider. Each of us has performed the static and the dynamic test. So according to the characteristics of the car carrier, we indicated in our assessment which kind of hooks they can be used for that purpose. So the situation is different from trailer to trailer. So before buying any belts or confirming the purchase of any lot of belts, we kindly ask you to contact your bodybuilder provider to check together if the hooks are okay for the certification. Generally speaking, we can say that each bodybuilder made its own test, so made the certification with a kind of hooks that can be different. And each of us are also trying to find the solutions in order to to have the certification even with a different kind of hooks. This is a very recent story where we are all working in order to help for the standing situation that we have at the belt manufacturer. Solution, at least temporary, in order to let the customer to drive with certified belts.
Okay, thank you. Any other trailer manufacturer would like to contribute on this question, or maybe
Yes.
that was...
Do you hear me?
Yes, Edgaras. Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so I just as well would like to comment about the anti-slip device length. So as it was told from TÜV side, so it should be half of the tire, and no certain length is confirmed by the standard. So it means that some of the OEMs which are producing some exceptional models with very big tires and so on, they probably need longer anti-slip device, but this is not what that should be provided from manufacturer. So actually logistic providers, they can buy or additional those lashing belts or some part of those lashing belts that they need for their operations, and only they know their daily or operations, what contracts they have, what cars they transport, and so on. So it's not the mandatory, and operators cannot require from us as manufacturers to provide the lashing belts. So we help with for all the customers that they renew their old lashing belts as fast as possible. But this is as well. It will be. It is every day and yearly obligation for the operator itself, because he knows how often he is using lashing belts, how often he need to change them, and so on. So it's not the first day, and not with this renewal of the VDI. Now all the lashing belts needed to be replaced. They need to be all the time safe and secure. So.
Thank you very much. I just quickly, before I invite the Christian Schröder to post his question, I see in the question, isn't it possible to issue new certificates automatically? This question was replied. There was a question about older trucks, not by the big manufacturers here present, but from the UK. How should we proceed from here? I would say contact your manufacturer. If I understand well from TÜV, you can also provide, in case there is a small manufacturer or a manufacturer not in operation anymore, you can help with certificates, right?
That's correct. That is what we always say is contact your manufacturer and ask for it. And if there is any problem, then of course they can contact us, but first they should contact their manufacturer.
Thank you. It is a question about Spanset. Is only Spanset approved, and what about the supply? I have heard that there are currently problems with supply of production of belts. Well, this is exactly what Eric highlighted, that is indeed a bottleneck currently. But whether it is only Spanset approved, I guess I turn to the bodybuilders. There are other manufacturers as well which are satisfying the standard, right?
I think that every day some lashing belts provider can apply to TÜV and to test their equipment, and if their equipment will be tested and positive, so they can be approved, and it should be all the labels, which is as well written in the standard. What should information be on the lashing belt label that it comply the standard? But of course, every manufacturer can have their own lashing system. It's wheel chocks, hooks needed, and the platform sheet. So I think different manufacturers of bodybuilders, of the car carriers, can use and test some lashing belts producer. But yeah, maybe now the name Spanset is leading in all the tests, because they were in the group and they did all the tests. But I think it's open, not the market, but let's say it's open place for everybody if they can comply together with all the rules.
It's an open market, if I may add, but in the TÜV presentation, you saw all of the members that participated within that, and there are two lashing strap manufacturers within that, Dolesic and Spanset, and three, I'm sorry, and Allsafe.
Allsafe, yeah.
Yes, apologize. And all three, if I'm not mistaken, today have compliant VDI compliance, VDI 2700, I'm sorry, compliant lashing straps. So, I mean, the supply is not in the hands of only one, but of three at least suppliers.
So if I just may add also to this, they said before, in our presentation, I had a short sentence where we said that alternatively, there are other hooks, for example, other lashings they could be used as soon or as long as they are tested. So that's the important thing.
Thank you very much, Silvia. And I know there are a lot of questions, and I don't want to cherry pick, but I think there is one important one is by Martin Grunsky. How will be on road inspect? No, there was another one. I think another question. Sorry about that. About the road inspections. How will that look like? And what? How will the on-road inspector provide a driver that is able to check? Oh, sorry. I highlighted it for myself. Yeah, it's basically how will the roadside inspection look like physically? Checking the certificate, checking approval of the label, physically somebody going to see the second level, how long time it will take. So what is exactly will happen when there is a roadside check? And does anyone know that? Or is it something carved already in stone or still flexible depending on the goodwill of the police? Yes, Stefan?
I think nobody knows what Balmor, the police, will do in the future, in the next months. I think they will keep it on a low level. First, I think the next 2 or 3 months they want to look what is in the market. But I think it's very important that all customers try to fulfill the new VDI, the new rules, and do the road securing, the load securing for the road directly with the new rules. Yeah. The second step is to have the right equipment, the right lashings, to use the wheel choke where it's like it's written in the VDI, and then the last step is, I think, also the certificate, yeah, because in the certificate is maybe shown that it's important that he use different lashing straps or not, maybe 3-point system or 4-point system, and so on. Yeah. But I think the first thing is that you teach your drivers the new rules and that they follow the new rules and that they have the lashing equipment. Yeah, because there was no change on the wheel chocks or so on most of our bodybuilders. I think there was no changes, also not in the plates, and maybe also the trucks can be region certificate, I think, from the beginning of 2012. It's nearly on every bodybuilder the same date, yeah. So follow the important thing is follow the new rules in road securing. Yeah, that's the main point. I think they wouldn't stop you. Everything is fine. He has done everything right. The new belts, the new securing, the new lashing, the transport is in good condition. You will never stop only because you have no certificate on the road. I think the government says, okay, only one thing is missing in the moment, in the beginning. In a half year, or in a year, it's different. But in the beginning of the new rules, only the certificate is not the main issue. Yeah. But
okay.
you will find, in whole of Europe or in whole of Germany, you find minimum one policeman, which is very straight. Yeah. Okay, this one you will find, but most of them look that everything is fine.
Thank you. I see raised hands, but very quickly I see here a question which might be easy to answer. Is it possible to remove? So the new VDI rules say it is possible to use removable controllers adapters to the controller to different tire sizes. quotation ended. So we started to use adapters to make the anti-slap part longer, but some of the German compounds and auditors say that this is not acceptable as the anti-slip part is in 2 pieces. But it's no question, but do you have any comment on this? Is it okay or not? Just to give very practical advice, then I will
two pieces is okay, but it have to be from the same supplier. You know, the loose part have to be have to be written the ETA-Wert and so on, and which manufacturer, and this has to match. That means you can't use a controller from Dolizek on a Spanset brand. Yeah, it have to match internally. Everything have to be for one supplier, and there's not written that these are not 2 pieces or 3 pieces. In the end, it makes no sense because it's a lot of work, but it's not written. It's have to be 1 piece. Yeah. But everything has to be has from the same brand of lashing producer. That's important.
Roberto, you raised your hand, I guess, on the same subject, right?
Well, actually, just coming back to the previous question that was raising 2 question details, but I think that they were quite common. And one is the label, the sticker on the truck, and the other one is the format of the certificate. We several requests and questions about that. So from one side, the sticker or the is not mandatory in the terms of the VDI. It's we can consider a nice tool only for making a gentle reminder to everybody, every operator that is around the truck about the deadline of the inspection. So it is not a certificate itself. It is, let's say, the validity quite limited. It is only a tool to remind to the driver in a prompt way to the police or when the certificate, when the inspection will expire and need a new one. So this is one point that we got several questions about that. The second point is also the format of the certificate. Many customers, they ask us about, shall I have a paper copy or shall I have a of the certificate? Well, the only point is that the certificate should be available in the driver's hands. Is to be decided. Can be paper for some basic and simpler stuff, or it can be digital, but these requirements are...
Oh, we don't hear you.
Okay.
I again didn't hear the most important bit. So you said that it can be paper or digital, but I didn't hear from afterwards. Sorry.
And this is the question, the decision of transport company, how to organize presence of the certificate inside the cabin, or in any case together with that's all.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Now I think we have a raised hand for quite a long time. Sorry, but there are so many questions in chat as well. So Kurt, please, you are now able to speak in a yellow camera. If you wish to switch that on, please would you tell us where you are calling from, which company, and of course a question. Floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Sorry, my English is not that good and my camera is not working, but I'm from the Belgian police. So I was interesting to hear what about the VDI, and I hear there are a few questions about road checks. First of all, I have already got some questions in Belgium. Do we apply, or do drivers has to apply the new VDI? Well, it's not in the Belgian registration, but if a sender or a carrier and loader has to follow the rules, then he also has to follow the rules in Belgium. It's the same. But about the certification, this is also new. We don't gonna start checking this tomorrow. Don't be afraid. It will take also some time for us. But about certification, it's an important thing also in general cargo transport. If you do lashing, then you should have to know if something is strong enough, and for that kind we ask some certifications. What I hear in the new VDI, you need certification. It will be a point we're gonna ask in not this year, but maybe next year. If you need it, we're gonna ask. It's so important. It's with the driver. For us, you don't have to show it physical on paper, but it's much easier if you can show it directly to the police. It make the road check easier. The first question we ask to a driver, how did you secure your cargo? It's the first question we always ask. And in some cases they say like usual, but what's like usual? So for that, it's also important that the driver knows how to transport and secure his cargo. The thing I wanted to say, it's not legislation in Belgium, but if a sender says you have to apply the VDI, then we will follow it, except if it's less than the European norms. But in this case, it's better than the European norms. We will follow. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Kurt. I don't know who's the most appropriate person, maybe Simon from VDI or TÜV, Silvia, or I don't know who can, the geographical application or the future plans and about this. I'm sorry, we are running over time, but there are so many questions, and if anyone can stay longer, please do. We will stay as long as we can from presenter side.
So I just wanted to mention that for this period now, we are speaking about it's an exclusively German guideline. So the application is that everyone who is driving through Germany, into Germany, and even if you do not have to load or unload in Germany, but just passing Germany, you have to apply to this guideline. At this moment, it is only a German guideline. I don't know exactly the plans for the future, if it or when it will be, for example, an European standard. But for the moment, it is just applicable in Germany.
Maybe
Thank
I
you.
could add also something to that. Sorry. The chairman of the VDI working group on vehicle transporters, Mr. Neunfinger, has the plan to bring the English versions of the 3 guidelines to the European Center for Standardization, so to CEN, yeah, which will take several years, I suppose, discussions on the European level before a harmonized European standard on this topic could be published. But there is the will to bring these 3 VDI standards to the European level, but this is not to be expected before, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, I would suppose.
Thank you. Did it reply to your question, Kurt? Or anyone else? Okay, let's go back. I see we are still more than 130 people with us.
If somebody is coming from Germany, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
If somebody is coming from Germany and I say something, Mercedes, they send cars to Belgium and they're passing through Belgium, and the sender, who is Mercedes, they say you have to apply to the carrier, you have to apply the VDI, then it has to be the same, because it's the sender who says how to secure the cargo. In Belgium, you have to give some information, and one of the points is additional information to have a good cargo securing. And if it's necessary for the sender to do it like this, and it's the same or better than the European rules, then it has to be followed. So also for Belgium. That's it.
Thank you. I think that is ties into another comment saying that Annick Perremans, it is only valid in and through Germany, and that the shipper where the cars are loaded in any way responsible for checking if the lashing and chocking is set to German standards, because they often don't know which route the truck will take after loading. Just a comment. There's a question, I don't know if that's valid. Why transport companies need to pay in Germany every year for certificate if they're existing EU standard as in the Netherlands, for example. I don't know if you want to explicit on that, but I think in this case it's a national legislation, so we have to take that into account, that there is a special rule to abide and if anyone wants to comment, please do. And then the question is quite theoretical. What will happen if each EU country decide to add such a certificate? Yes, definitely, that will be a problem. But this is quite theoretical or hypothetical, so hope that will not happen, and if this can be standardized at EU level. And in any case, we make reference to this standard, as someone already pointed out, I think from Dean, that the ECG operations quality manual speaks about securing of the cargo, and there the reference is already made to the VDI 2700, and which we will be revising, that it corresponds to the new way of lashing. I see Marcus, you with your hand.
Yeah, Silvia, just to remind maybe shortly, that at the end the VDI or generally the requirements to a safe loading is not, or mainly not only a legal perspective. No, it's also, it contributes strongly also to the profession and to the professionalism of the sector. No, and just coming home tonight, from or last few days, let's say from Hanover back to Austria, doing the highway through Eastern Germany, you can't imagine the spectrum and the variety of the different trucks driving there, of the different quality standards there on the packing stations and so on. So I think there's still there are still so many different qualities in the market, and for our sector and for the professional finished vehicle logistic company, I think it is also at the end some important, let's say, characteristic for their further development now. And it's not only, let's say, referring to the legal developments on the national or on the national standard, but also for correspondence and for compliance with the OEM requirements, and also for its own further professional development, of the and professionalism of the sector itself.
Thank you for your comment. I see raised hands, so I will give a preference to that, but I see lots of questions popping in the chat. It's Vetelin Ranov. Let me see. I allow your camera as well in case you want to share, but can you speak? I think you can unmute yourself now and ask a question.
Silvia, you can also read. Sorry, you can also read the question, and we can speed up a bit.
Yeah, he has a lot of questions, so I don't know. Now he raised his hands. Can you? Hi.
Hi. So I hope you hear me, and I want just to, because we are on the end of our time of this meeting, so I let to summarize this topic. So what is the end decision? Our customers want from us to show him certificates on addresses, fabrics, but at this time, if we don't have it, what we need to do to say that we sent all information to people from Lohr or Kässbohrer and wait answer from them. So what we have to doing, we need to show him the correspondence or what, because they told us that will be a big problem for us if we don't have this certificate for our different brands.
If you want, Silvia, I can give an answer from our side. Basically, upon your requests, and even if we're for a timing reason, so to say, we're not able to issue the certificate immediately. Basically, we can also, we do, upon request, again send a statement, basically, that you have made the request to get the certificate for a trailer. And I know that for some of the OEMs, it was satisfactory to receive that. And that paper is used until the time you get the final certificate.
Good, so will be the same. And for the policemen, when they stop us or decide to make a checking inspection?
I wish I could answer that question, but unfortunately, I don't know personally every single one of them, and I'm not sure that it will work systematically. So I can't commit on that part.
So Silvia, maybe I can add here. So if our members recognize and encounter any problems with the police, please get back to us. So, and if this doesn't work with the notification, and that we have an overview how the police is reacting. So currently we don't know if there are any fines, but please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Well, I think
one last question for
yes?
For Frank. So, do you thinking to prepare a new instruction for VDI, and maybe because we need to show our drivers the new rules which they need to doing for future? Some new documents, or to add some new pages in your instruction for safety and holdings? Do you think?
As we said, there will be the ECG operations quality manual that is lashing and load securing falls under that. We will, and also that, as I said, make reference to the VDI guideline. We will amend that so that it will reflect the current rules. Definitely, that we will start in after the autumn. We just wanted to wait for this webinar and the feedback from the members, and proceed with that afterwards. If anyone is interested, just drop me a line and I will include you. It will be, of course, how to transpose the that is written into our own guidelines. It will not be more than that. If interested. This was your question, Svetlin?
My question is because I'm preparing the one folder with instruction from AKG. So if you have a new rules, or will be the same like before? What we need, what we to expecting for future from you for VDI?
We don't have instructions on that. I think the rules are clear. You need to get a copy of the standard or the guideline, sorry, and get a certificate for your trailer and or the car transporter. Instruct drivers. This is the information that we heard about, and the ECG document will accompany. Of course, we'll see what accompanying documents we can prepare. We'll investigate after this webinar whether the OQM update is enough, or we need to be more specific. But we definitely cannot do more, and there will not be more instructions above this. That is the VDI guideline itself is the basis. Now I see a chat popping in. Do you plan to have some 24-hour helpline to support the rules? That is not not something that we can do. But there was a question that was even marked in a different color. Can we expect another webinar that will explain the use of the standard in practice? That is, how should the driver apply the guidelines, and what are the expectations to the rule? This is the question we asked, and someone liked it. So I don't know if this is something we will investigate after this webinar based on all the questions and the feedback from the members. And if there is a need for that, we will definitely communicate it to the members if more help is needed. for them to comply. But I think your source of information is your trailer manufacturer here present with us. So please, as a first instance, go back to them with questions, if I may suggest, and also have the document that the line published. And of course, you will helping if needed with additional documents. I don't know, Frank, if you want to have add anything on that point.
No, I think that's something we can certainly review and check. So I would suggest that we finalize the session now. And if we still have some question left, so we take it and we will raise to the panelists, and then we will publish anyway the Q&A afterwards, so that everyone can reread it. So maybe Silvia, you pick up the last 2 or 3 questions, or anyone who wants to raise. So then we maybe should close the meeting.
Yes, I think I see two questions linked to each other at the time. What are the waiting period to issue certificate? I think the colleagues from the body manufacturers explained about this. There is currently a backlog of that as well, but they can speak for themselves, or they did already. And what is the ECG? We have not counted what is the proportion of ECG members not certified, because this is changing by the day. Because everyone is working towards 100% certification rate, of course. But as Frank said, please, if you have anything that you have not had an answer for today, write a mail to me. It's easy to find my email. I think it was in the Teams invite you received from the system. Please do get back to me, and afterwards we'll evaluate what needs to be done to give you further and more ample information. That was a final word from us. I hope everyone from presenter side is happy. Are there any final comments from either of you to emphasize something or to say goodbye? Okay, then.
So I just would like to thank you also for the invitation, and we hope that some more questions are answered. And if not, of course, we are also available for any further questions.
Same here. Thank you very much for organizing.
Thank you. The audience.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you all the speakers who took part and prepared for this, for you to join. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.